Good morning, everyone. Today I am in Roxborough, which is a section of Philadelphia, and we are going to be checking out the Shawmont train station, which is no longer in use. So I'm not sure what street this is I parked on. I do see it says Nixon Street over there, but there's this old railroad bridge. So, of course, if possible, I'm going to check it out. From looking up there, it definitely looks like they're abandoned rails, dead tracks. So I found this little trail here, or I should say Tony found this little trail here. Tony's with us today. So I'm just going to take a quick walk up here. This is not what this video is about, but it's always nice to scope out some areas for future videos and maybe get a quick look. So it's a little slippery. We've had a lot of rain lately. So I do have to be careful. Not sure what we're going to see here. I can tell already that the rail line bridge is fenced off. Now, I could probably get in here, but I think I'm going to go through here first, Tick Central, and just see if the railroad tracks are still in place. Which they are not. But there is a nice little trail here, which actually continues down this way, so we might be able to get on this bridge. Oh my God, I think we will, and this is easy. Yes, we are up on that bridge. Check these out. I wonder what these are. Anyone know what this fruit is? All right, so we are up on top of that bridge. So the railroad tracks have been pulled out. So I don't know how much there really is to see here, but this is a cool little trail. And you can see down to the road. Tony and Debbie are down there. My friend Debbie's with me on this hike as well. She's been in some of my videos before. So she's kind of from this area, so it's one of the reasons I'm here. And also, more and more, ever since I did that Manayunk video, I'm thinking I'm gonna spend more time here because there's a lot to see. All right, so I'm gonna head back down, and then we're gonna head over to Shawmont Station, which I believe is on very active tracks, SEPTA tracks. But the station is no longer in use. It's from when there was a passenger line. All right, so here is just a quick look at the old railroad bridge from below. As always, I have to point out the beautiful stonework. And maybe you can see there's an old railing up there from when it was a rail line. But as I mentioned earlier, or as we saw, all signs of the rail line are gone. No tracks still in place. And I'm hearing rushing water down here, so maybe that's coming across on the camera, but it's a mess getting down there. So anyway, let's get to Shawmont Station. That kind of was the point of the video. So as I pointed out in some of my other videos, I know I did the Fairmount Park tunnels. You can see there's brick. So this interior is brick. You can still see like faded, well, it's still brick, but it looks like maybe they put concrete over it at one time. I don't know, maybe yes, maybe no. But then you have the beautiful stonework along the base. Pretty cool. I always like to point out these beautiful old homes. And these are cool. Honestly, I think I'd like to get myself one of these small little, I think they're called scamps. How cool would that be, right? All right, so I believe we're headed the correct. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's, wow, it's like right here. Okay, so yes, it is behind a fence, unfortunately. But we'll probably walk along this towpath a little bit as well. You can see Debbie and Tony are already getting out in front of me. So these are live tracks, obviously. This is part of the SEPTA regional rail line. But this has been fixed up a lot since I was watching an old video, probably from like 7 years ago. And there were people actually, I guess, trespassing, but they were headed inside. But I don't want to spend too much time on these tracks because, as I said, they're live. But this was, I believe, the first passenger train station in Pennsylvania. So it is in the process of being refurbished. I think if we go down here, looks like there's some old stonework, and we can kind of, okay, we can cheat a little bit and get a little closer maybe. This is probably not the original rail station, but this has probably been here for a long time. So this was built in 1826 as Nathan Nathan's, I kid you not, cool name. But anyway, Nathan's private residence. It was designed by William Strickland and later sold and repurposed as a train station by lumberman Henry Crosky in 1835. So for all my rail fans out there, that's gotta be one of the earliest train stations, I would think, in the entire country. 1835, I don't know, I don't even think about rail lines being around in 1835, but evidently they were. So this is what I was talking about. Not sure we're going to be able to get down there, but this appears to be got to be careful. So it's a little, I guess, culvert you would call it. You can see there's a creek down here that runs underneath the rail bed. I really would like to get down there, but not sure I'm going to do that today. Let's check out the other side. Maybe there's an easy way down. And of course, as I'm wandering around the tracks, I've already lost Debbie and Tony. But I don't see a way down there, and maybe that's a video for another day. There's probably a way that I can get on the creek. And you might remember we heard water when I was pointing to that area, so I'm kind of thinking if I would have went down there, I could have walked along this creek and went under this old culvert, but not today. So here you see sort of a little platform. This is probably, it says Shawmont, and as I said, this is still along the SEPTA line, but the train does not stop here anymore. But the signage is still here, Shawmont. Shawmont. And I guess this is where you would stand and wait for the train. I'm thinking those signs that we were just looking at were probably put up by SEPTA. SEPTA is, for those of you not from Pennsylvania, it's Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. So when SEPTA took over in the 80s, I believe it was part of one of the regional rail lines until, God, I want to say like 1991, maybe mid-90s. I don't know, but I will do some research and put that on the video. All right, as I run off the tracks, we have a train coming, so I think I'll just stand here and wait till the train comes. All right, not sure how soon this train's going to come, but the lights are blinking, so we're probably going to be seeing it soon. All right, there they are. They're beeping to us. As it rolls on by the Shawmont station. As I mentioned, it does not stop here anymore, so very cool. So prior to that train coming, I'm not sure exactly what I was talking about, but originally this was called the Green Tree Station, and it was renamed Shawmont Station in 1873 to avoid confusion with another station of the same name. So somewhere out there must be a Green Tree Station. As I mentioned before, this structure was built in 1826, but it did not become a rail line until the 1830s. And from what I'm reading, it's referred to as the PG&N, and it was leased to the Reading Railroad in 1870, which renovated the station and added a telegraph office and a station master housing. So I guess the station master actually lived in there. So it is nice that they're doing some renovation. And look at this old, I want to say cobblestone, but I don't believe it is cobblestone. But we'll call it cobblestone for now. And this little trail is sort of blocked off here. And then the official Schuylkill River Trail is here. So I think we're gonna head down there. Although to be honest with you, I really want to check out this trail. And maybe if we have time on the way back, I will. But I really need to find Debbie and Tony. So if you ever come hiking with me, or we do a video together, just know that I'm a little nuts. I kind of just do my own thing a little bit. All right, I see Debbie and Tony sitting down there on a bench. All right, so here we go. We are on the Schuylkill River Trail in the Roxborough area. You might remember I did a video in Manayunk, maybe, I don't know, maybe like I put it up 3 weeks ago. And if we continue walking this way, we will come to Manayunk. I don't know if we're gonna go that far. And I know I had mentioned that this was part of the Reading Railroad in 1870. It became part of the Reading Railroad. By 1884, both the Pennsylvania and Reading Railroad had competing lines with the Shawmont station. So that's kind of interesting. I guess there were two different rail lines that used that station. check this out. Now, this is the kind of stuff I just love seeing. Like, yeah, I mean, there's the Schuylkill River down there. You can probably see it in the background. And then we have this, which looks like it was part of somebody's home at one time, right? I'm thinking maybe yes, maybe no, some type of a marker.
There's a beam went in there.
So Tony, I should know this, but was this a rail line?
It's a towpath.
It's a towpath. Oh God, it's a towpath. How many videos have I done on canals? You'd think I'd know.
Some sort of.
So anyway, it was a towpath.
Because there's a beam went in there.
All right, so Tony was saying that there was some type of a beam in here at one time, right? I mean, yeah, so very cool. And look at this. There's one on this side as well, Anthony.
Oh, look at that one goes down into the thing.
We got another one here. And look at this. Yes.
Yeah.
And Debbie had pointed out maybe this was a dock at one time because we have some
and then it had a little
pretty cool old stonework here.
Right.
So maybe this was a dock, right? Where you would dock your boat. That's what I'm thinking. And that seems to be the consensus. So we'll go with it. It was a dock.
Yeah.
All right, Tony is exploring. And oh yeah, check this out. So
you might have to get in front.
We got something else going on here. Okay, so we just have like a concrete foundation,
I
guess.
You're right. I think
of old stonework. So
the river came into here.
The river probably, from what he's saying, came here, or maybe the canal. Maybe, I don't know. We don't know. Maybe 30 yards up the towpath, we have this. So I don't know, people. What do you think? Something else along the towpath? You know, I'm still thinking, and I don't think Tony and Debbie necessarily agree with me, but I'm thinking there might have been a residence back here that maybe even predates the canal and towpath. Or maybe it was even a residence or some type of a structure back there, which I'm not going to go back there today, but if someone has some information on this, I'll come back in the wintertime and check it out, because I do see some old poles here, which I don't know how old these are, but and there's a few back there and back there. So there was definitely something here at one time. So lately I've been doing a lot of exploring of these type of areas, and as you know, this is not the best time to be exploring these areas because everything's grown over. I am loving this so far. All right, time to catch up to Debbie and Tony.
Might have been.
So we were just talking a little. The Schuylkill's not far from what we're on, which is the towpath. So we were wondering, was there a canal? Now I know there was a canal in Manayunk, but possibly they just used this towpath, but I don't think so. We kind of are under the consensus that the canal was down here, which would make more sense. And then there's a little bit of an incline up here, and this is where I guess the mules would walk along the towpath. But if you're from this area, or even if you're not from this area and you have a lot of knowledge of the canals in Pennsylvania, please leave it in the comments. I am going to just take a minute to tell you thank you for all of you that have been watching my videos and leaving comments, because I really am learning more and more on all these adventures. I know I'm not the most canal, railroad, forestry educated YouTuber, but I like to think that the videos are fun and we're kind of learning together. So for all of you that have been commenting, and you know who you are, there's certain people that comment on almost every video. It's very much appreciated. And if you do watch the videos and you don't comment, that's wonderful as well. I mean, everybody's not into commenting, but if you want to leave a comment, just say hi. That would be greatly appreciated. I kind of like to get to know the people watching my videos a little bit if possible. And look at this huge tree, which I'm assuming is dead, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm just kind of digging it. Just has a cool look to it, right? All right, so here we have this, which is like a rounded structure, concrete, I'm assuming. And we ran into something like that when we were in Wissahickon Park, and there's some type of an old manhole here. And I know when we were down Wissahickon Park, there were a lot of bridges that had this rounded concrete over it. Here it goes. It goes on and on and on. And to be honest with you, I had no idea. I was like, why? Why? If it was a railroad bridge or cars, or if it was made for people to walk over, you wouldn't have that. And again, going back to comments, I know somebody had mentioned that it had something to do with some type of like a sewage system maybe, or something that would draw water out of the river. Lots of bikes on this trail, and it's a great day to be out on a bike. It's probably 85 degrees, kind of humid, and I think it's going to go up to maybe low 90s again today. We've been really under a lot of heat wave lately, but this is cool. This just goes on and on and on and on. So Tony, remember the other video? Someone in the comments said it had something to do with maybe like a sewage pipe or something. Yeah, so.
Yeah, where it goes back into the river.
Yeah, quite possibly, yes. And there we have, there's the rail line. So as always, right, when we see a canal, there's always a rail line built later on. And there we have the sign back there, danger, dam, no boating, swimming, or wading. So there's the dam, and then on this side was most likely the canal, right? So Tony,
Yeah.
so Tony and Deb, this is the dam, and then on this side was probably the canal, right?
Well, you said that might be where that.
Well, we're gonna walk a little closer and see what we see, because I'm not
like
so sure about that.
Manayunk went by rapid. It had
Yes,
bypass rapid.
it bypassed
So I think
some falls, so maybe this was no, I don't know if it was a natural falls. Who knows? Let's walk a little further and see if we can
there's
figure some
rapids
things out.
there. It's probably
So there may have been natural rapids there
Right.
to begin with. Okay.
right, but you can probably see more down.
And you
But
might
yeah.
remember in my Manayunk video, I mentioned that the Manayunk Canal was built, and I can't remember the name of the falls, but I'll put it on the bottom of the screen, to bypass what I guess is a natural waterfall. Maybe that's what was here, and then maybe they dammed it up later. Maybe, and maybe this is the beginning of what became the Manayunk Canal. So Tony almost got taken out by a bike. Usually that, and then Debbie of course said Tony did a gen. Especially when I'm talking in the camera, I'm so oblivious to everything going on around me. But that was Tony this time. He was overlooking at a tree and some guy come flying by on a bike. Look at this overhang. Wow, check this out. Very cool overhang. And there we have, oh wow, that's a really cool dam. I might, when we walk a little further, get out my zoom lens and check that out.
Training for something.
But yeah, maybe you can't see it, but there's a bunch of guys over there. Maybe they're training for water rescue. Maybe, I hate to say this, but we are in Philadelphia. Maybe they're looking for a body.
Oh God.
I hope not. But it is possible. So we think they might be doing rescue training over there. So I'm gonna get out my other camera. All right, so I am going to zoom in and you can see they're doing some sort of training over there. All right, so there we go. I just zoomed in and you can see there's some people in the water, some people out of the water. And if I keep going this way, well, you can't really see it, but there is I guess a man-made waterfall, but I'm almost thinking maybe there was a natural waterfall there at one time as well. So I'm thinking they're doing some type of training. All right, so now I'm somewhere where we can actually see. Let's zoom in a little more, the waterfall. I should say the dam, I guess, but it's pretty impressive. And as I zoom out, you can see these guys are not that far from it. So, most likely doing some kind of survival training, maybe? I don't know. So, not sure, but I'm thinking that might be the beginning of what becomes the Manayunk Canal, but we'll learn more, I'm sure, as we continue along. So as I'm walking along, I'm not so sure what I said about this being the beginning of the canal is correct, because this almost looks like some type of an overflow or a spillway. And then you can see we have more of the dam over here. So I'm not an expert on dams, so anyway, if there are any dam experts out there, dam experts, please leave some things in the comments, because I'm finding this area extremely interesting. And it wouldn't be a Philly, Pennsylvania video if I didn't mention Wissahick and schist. Look how bright that is. I mean, it's really sparkling today because the sun is out. Just a very cool rock. And I see it a lot in Philadelphia and some of the surrounding counties like Montgomery. Makes me wonder, like, when the first Europeans came over, did they think this was gold when it was sparkling in the creek? Yeah, I don't know, but you might have thought it's some type of a valuable rock or mineral. Who knows? Anyway, I think it's cool. All right, I found a nice little storyboard. So this picture here shows locks 69 and 70. So, you know, this picture's not that old. I think a lot of this was torn down, unfortunately. And then here is just a picture of the gears inside the gatehouse. Remnants as seen in 2016. So this is 2016. I don't believe any of this is still here. And look at this old picture. So it says it's a large building called the Feeder Gatehouse, and it was once built on top of the dam. It housed equipment including the gears pictured on this sign, which again is this. But how cool is that? So I guess this has all been sadly lost through the construction of this modern dam. It's always nice when there's some old pictures surviving. So I find this interesting. In my other video I mentioned how, I mean, just tons and tons of coal were brought down this canal. The last coal shipment along this canal was in 1917. And then it says here, it resulted in one of the country's most polluted waterways. In 1948, Pennsylvania undertook successful dredging efforts to help reduce the pollution. And I remember when I was a child growing up in Philadelphia in the 70s, you would not swim in the Schuylkill. It was still considered quite polluted. So I don't know how polluted it is anymore, but more than a century's worth of coal silt had collected in the canal and river. So I always knew it was polluted, but I never really thought about why it was polluted or how it became polluted. So that makes sense. Coal silt. So I'm gonna slip my camera through here. But I think the videos I saw in the past was prior to this huge fence being put up, and you could actually come down here. I think that's what you would call a sluice house. And there are some old videos on YouTube where there's some people walking around in there. So I'm adventurous, and if I can get in there, I would, but there's just no way. You're not climbing this fence, Jen. So just another view through the fence. And you can see this, I guess there was a huge drop down here of the canal. You can see some of the remnants. There's an old piece of iron over here. And you can see the gears. So this was Certainly one of the locks would, I guess, come through here, trying to point from the other side of the fence, and then you can still see the old stonework there. So I believe if we keep heading down this, we're headed towards Manayunk. I'm not gonna make a video of where I already was, but I'm never sure what I cut out or what I kept in, but I know I was talking about how I felt I missed a lot. Supposedly there's a lock tender's house down here somewhere too, which I didn't see that, but what we're looking at through this fence is kind of what I was visualizing. So just reaching through the fence so you get a nice view. So putting my hand through the fence again so you can read this storyboard. Flat Rock Dam and Lock 68, which is, I guess, what we were looking at over there. In 1860, the Schuylkill Navigation Company began to make this shallow river section passable to boats with the construction of the Flat Rock Dam and the 2-mile canal to Manayunk. Slightly younger, more adventurous Jen would climb down there, go under, and walk around this. But I don't think I'm going to do that because I'm kind of thinking they don't want you back there. That's what these prison type fences would tell me. But as I'm here, look at that. There is remnants of the old canal wall for sure. Very cool. So much history down here. So this is kind of interesting. You might see, hopefully you can see there's construction vehicles over here. And you can kind of see the old canal wall here, but they're building over there. So I'm thinking I believe it's like a small island. I think they call it Venice Island, but I'm not sure. And it looks like they're putting a trail in. So it'll probably be like a recreational trail. So maybe in time you can make a loop out of this. So as I'm walking down here, you can see we can get pretty close to the water. It's moving pretty rapidly. And this is the old canal. There's the canal wall over there. And what, my friends, is that? Found a chain. An old, I think it's silver. I don't know. It's not rusted. It's sitting in the water. Look at that. Prospecting along the Schuylkill Canal. And we're just on this bridge, and Tony's pointing to some type of an old foundation, which probably had something to do with going over the canal. We have a bridge here. This probably was a little spillway, Tony, right? See? Leading into the canal. So I heard some frogs, and I'm just looking out on these little, I guess, I don't know if we'd call them spillways or whatever, but a whole different type of nature kind of evolved here, right? I mean, I almost feel like it looks like we're in Florida or something, like swamp land. Check out these turtles just sunning themselves. I don't know if you can really tell or get perspective, but those turtles they're huge. They're not little box turtles.
That's what we thought you were.
And look at them all over there too. There's tons of them over there. Unfortunately, you gotta bear with me when I zoom in with this camera. I know I'm bouncing all over the place. But these are the ones we were looking at. Over there, we've got a whole lot of turtles. So that's like the hot spot, right? So that's really cool that there's so many turtles out there. All right, so I believe we're actually technically in Manayunk, but I thought this was kind of cool, this mural. And I know I saw this my last video, but I think I edited it out. But what's cool about this is three-dimensional. Very cool, right? All right, so I think we are in Manayunk, and we're pretty close to where I started my last video. I just thought I'd check out this bridge. Not sure how old this one is. I think they're called camelback bridges, or at least that's what they call them on the Delaware Canal. So, not sure if that's what they refer to it as on the Schuylkill Canal, but I'm gonna kind of think probably. If you watch my videos or you saw my video along the Manayunk Canal, you might remember I climbed up here and walked a little bit into that tunnel. I did not have a flashlight. My friend Debbie has a flashlight, but I don't think I'm gonna walk up there now because there's too many people around. It's later in the day and I don't think you're supposed to be up there. But this is pretty much where I started my video. And then we headed down this way and we found some abandoned train tracks and a lock, and it's really an interesting video. So if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna put it on the end screen. So as I was walking back, we have some stairs. So absolutely, this was somebody's residence or some type of a building at one time. Maybe something to do with the canal, like an industrial building, but I'm not gonna go back any further. Because that's all grown over. But I do, well, look, as I say that, I'm walking back. Here is a foundation. So that goes all along. Judging from the looks of the stone of that foundation, this was probably somebody that maybe was wealthy. So anyway, before I get bit by a snake, I'm gonna head back. All right, so this is where we came in. There's the old train station. This turned into so much more of an adventure than I thought it would be. Really glad I came here. So now I'm looking at this stone now. We're not far from that foundation I found in the woods. So this was probably somebody's driveway. Maybe horses, horse-drawn wagons. And then that foundation would have been back in there. So I'm just climbing through that gate. I'm just going to take a quick look and see where this goes. But yeah, you got a nice wall here. I'm thinking this was somebody's residence, but there was definitely something major back here. And the foundation that we just looked at was over there. So anyway. All right, so I'm gonna end my video here. Thank you for joining me. I know I say this all the time, but it actually helps if you give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.